his freedom back. They were giving his books back. They were giving. And the Frierdiker Rebbe stated that was the beginning of all of our Geula. So can you imagine, every day we can tap into this day, especially when we do what the Frierdiker wanted us to do. He wanted us to Farbrengen. He wanted us to get together. He wanted not only, and I'm going to quote from Hayom Yom, that we could really benefit by gathering together to actualize our commitments and our hachlatas of the day, of trying to get to that better redemptive mode. And so even if us just gathering here together, Dayanim, even if us here today gathering together to access this holy power so that we can really actualize all of our gifts and our talents in our own avodas Hashem. But really, we Hasidim know it's not about that. Yes, it feels nice to be redeemed. Yes, it feels nice not to be as angry or not as sad. Yes, it feels nice to have a bubbly, happy, Geula energy. But for the fact and for the key point of being a lamp lighter for others, to bring them closer to Torah. And that's what we're here today, right? You picked the topic of, being able to access our creativity and our soul powers and our ability to influence others. And again, not for the sake of, I'm actualized, not for the sake of, I don't want to do bittul talents, so there's bittul Torah. Chabal, we have a Torah and it's like, not being actualized, it's not being used. It's not because, Chabal, Hashem gave me a talent and I'm not using it. It is to bring Mashiach. It is to bring light into the world. Everyone's spark, everyone's holy neshama is so super needed. So with this fixed time of Torah study, the aim is to not only arouse, this is what is in Hayom Yom, but to actualize indeed what we're going to discuss here. It's not just to have a mere gathering and have a fond nostalgia of the miracles that happened to our Rebbe, but it's an active gathering, quote unquote, to motivate each other, to accelerate our efforts together. Like, look at us, you from Bais Chana, Baruch Hashem, Yehudit Eichenblatt, and Rebbetzin Shoshana Pierre from Chabad of Persian Youth, together are gathering all forces to make this Farbrengen happen, to help others, motivate them, and to motivate each other, and to accelerate all the efforts of our divine service, especially in gathering the holy sparks of others to then ignite their fire. Just like the Rebbe would say, here's the match. It's your light. I'm just giving you the match. So here we are trying to, as a group, give others the match, to spark up their fire, to spark their fire of commitment. And it is this day, the Frierdiker Rebbe's liberation, that not only is going to impact globally the redemption, but hopefully individually, collectively, with boundless, there's the scope and the range of the boundlessness is like infinite. We can't even capture it literally in time. Giving us and generating within us greater spiritual energies today. So I'm giving you that gift. And I want to say that when you think about your creativity, when you think about your spark, and you think about what is unique to you that the world needs. I mean, remember the Rebbe would say, when on your birthday, it's the day the world could not exist without you. That's why you were born. I mean, there are souls waiting 800 years until they are chosen to come down. So the fact that you are alive, you may have waited 800 years to shine your light, to be that spark. And so today is the day to motivate yourself, no matter what age you are. I remember again being in the Rebbe's video on my birthday saying, you don't have to look at your passport. And I was turning 50, to see how you feel. And that, like, even as you're older, you can move faster and you can be stronger and you can be like healthier and you can be more of an influencer, because age should not get in the way. And in fact, it should be a springboard and a catalyst and like an energy about you, because you know how much time we may have left. So you can be even quick at your feet as you get older, instead of, God forbid, the opposite, as some people may say, oh, you're getting older and you need to retire. So when we think about the creative powers of our soul, I like to take a very spiritual tactic, because it's really the foundation and the beginning of all other tactics to get to that spark of creativity, to get to that power of our imagination. Because really, to be creative in your own unique way, to use your gifts, you need to harness your faculty of imagination. That's where it all lies. And I give a mashal of a house. And in the house, you have a treasure box. And in that treasure box is where all your gifts are. But you need first the key to the house, and then you need the key to the treasure box. So the first key to access the powers of your imagination, to get to the deepest part of your soul, the other treasure that's in the house is prayer and saying the letters of prayer. And last meeting, we got a little into the power of the letters, and I want to go a little more into that detail soon, because in these letters, God created the world. And in these letters, in prayer, lies your creativity and your power to create. And I'm going to quote, because we were doing the Gimel Tammuz for Farbrengen the day before Gimel Tammuz, and then the next day was Gimel Tammuz, and the Hayom Yom was all about the power of creativity that we have through the letters of Tefillah, or the letters of the Torah, the holy letters, 22 letters. And as I said, the second key in that mashal of having to open the door to the first is, again, learning Torah right after prayer, as I always say, with your words. A lot of people don't know that. They'll just, they'll read it, but they miss the power of harnessing all these godly energies of creation through speaking the word. So I want to quote from the Tanya, because it's so powerful. It says here, wisdom and intellect are derived from these letters. Wisdom, creativity, being the power creator, right? Created the world with these letters. And so it's obviously that these holy letters themselves are far superior to then wisdom. So whatever wisdom we have, Hashem, Baruch Hashem, blessed us with Chachma, Bin, and Das, and those are the forces and developing agents of our emotional capacities. But in these letters are the life force from God's emotive attributes. These letters are far superior to created wisdom and intellect. So we can try all kinds of different ways to up the ante of our creativity and up the ante of our wisdom. In progress. But there's nothing like the first key to harness and release and redeem our creative powers of our mind by accessing the greater wisdom through the letters. And I remember in Rosh Hashanah Shel Yom Tov that the Rebbe Ushab has a book on it, that this is the second book. I couldn't find the first one that I have, but in the first one, and we're going to tap into the power of creativity in this one, talks about like accessing really the higher levels of infinite of God's wisdom through speaking the letters. And that's why on Rosh Hashanah, you say the pasuk after Shema, right? Out loud to remind us of our power of creation while saying those few words that we normally don't say so loud. Anyway, so back to the 22 letters of effluences and power, where is it it's fixed in our mouth. We would think it should be fixed in our head. It should be fixed in our mind. The creative source of my faculty of imagination, the creative force of my creativity and everything starts with the mouth. And this is quoted from the Tanya. It's fixed in our mouth by saying the words. And if you look at even the way the mouth is created, which is very interesting, it's a very sexual, a metaphor of the sexual intimacy that creates, right? Because you have the man and the woman, and both their organs create. So our mouth, if you look, it's like almost like the woman's open, part, and the tongue is the other intimate part. And so that has the power of creation. So everything about the way our mouth is created for us to create and to tap into this. So there's this. That was in the Tanya letter. That was Gimel Tanya was on about the powers of letters.
The second part of Tanya explains how Hashem, God, created the world.
Yes.
And how he brought from an infinite light into creativity, into the physical. And it starts with what she's saying, which is the hay. Hashem says that God created the world with the hay, which is expressed through the hay. There's 5 ways. Hay is 5 in Gematria 5. There's 5 ways that the mouth can express itself, with the tongue, with the teeth, with the throat, right, with the lips, and with what did I miss? There's 5. There's 5.
Right.
And those they derive from God's power of creation, which comes also in 5 forms. The mouth is the power of expression. That's who we are. So God creating the world means God revealed himself. So
we reveal ourselves.
Right? We reveal ourselves. We're creating Hashem's image through our mouth and through our creativity. Yes. Once we express ourselves, then we're not just powerful in our own selves, but we're powerful with others and with the world we share. And we can create, and we can build, and we can manifest, and we can make new things happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it says here, since these letters in fact derive from God's wisdom, from his very essence, then they are able to give rise to the wisdom and intelligence within man. Wow. And if you look at the experience of all that, we're trying to do in our process of prayers is having a personal gula, being able to redeem ourselves, because the time of davening is the time of moichin de gadlus. It is the time where our brain will have the capacity to override that negative within us, like the sadness, the blockages, what's holding us back, the fear, the fear, like, what if nobody likes me, or no one pays attention, or they think that I'm a nothing, and how can I compare to X, Y, and Z? And it's all these emotions that are entrapping us, that are imprisoning us, that's causing us to not take the steps to do what we can in our own unique and special way.
Can you go into that a little bit?
Yes. So when you think about the godly soul that needs to be released from its imprisonment through the process of prayer, so that one can access the freedom of fear and anxiety. Because the more you develop awe and wonderment in prayer, then the more you have that freedom from the Yetzer Hara taking your fire, which is the opposite of awe and wonderment is fear and anxiety. So if you're not developing fear of God in prayer, and not the kind of fear like, oh, I'm scared that I'm not going to get my bracha, so I'm afraid of it. No, it's about, oh my goodness, how godly am I that he gave me the ability to unite my Chokhmah, Bin, and Das with his Chokhmah. Wow. It's unbelievable. God is lovesick for me. God chose me after 800 years to be on this earth, to be a lamp lighter, his lamp, awe and wonderment. And the more you develop this awe and wonderment, the less you have fears and anxiety, the less you'll have these blockages keeping you in straits, chas v'chalila, to not do what you need to do to shine your talents, your godly gifts in your own special and holy way. So the same thing with love. The love of Hashem that's developed in your process of prayer. Remember, that's the first key. Then what happens is you become so attached to Hashem, you become so bonded, then you let go of whatever could be stopping you from doing what you can for Hashem. I mean, in Tanya it says, when you start to actually, have this more revealed, you can't stop. It's such a love sickness. It becomes kirish be'esh. It becomes such a passion that your mind has no time to think of I'm not good enough, or what if I'm not qualified, I can't compare to others. There's no space for that. It just organically, automatically, when your fire is ignited in prayer, you just can't stop. It becomes something that almost takes you over, because it's God's energy, His light that now is turned on in you, that makes it happen more and more easily. Because if there is darkness, meaning if there's anxiety, and if there's fears, and if there's those blockages, it just means there's an absence of light. When you turn on that light, you don't have to recreate yourself. You don't have to go to so many different kind of hoops and loops and to get to the real you. It just happens by starting to open the key. Now, the second thing I wanted to say, which comes from here, and when I read this recently, this is again the power of return. It says here, and I want you to understand this, because the second key is the Torah learning. Because the Torah learning after davening, by speaking the words, harnesses and balances this energy and light that you reveal while davening. Because if it's too chaotic and the emotions are so flaring, then you're all over the place and you can't ground yourself to fix the time to do what you have to do to fulfill your goals and your creativity and your passions for Hashem. Oh, if we can write them down at the end. Yeah, thank you. So why is this Torah so important for us to access this grounding of ourselves? How many people are all over the place? They can't focus. They're here, they're there. They want to do this project. They want to do that activity, and they want to put a group together, and their emotions are so flaring and so all over the place. They don't have the groundedness. They don't have the clarity of mind. They don't have the rooted energy of their soul to fix properly and in an organized way. I mean, one of the Hayom Yom is we Hasidim need to be orderly. And the orderliness comes from the groundedness of learning Torah. And not only that, if we only understood that when we learn Torah, we become like a cup. What does this mean? Like a cup which you just took, pouring in, and then it could pour out, right? Or let's say a goblet. My husband has this beautiful, big, bottle that he pours the wine bottle to this beautiful container, and from the container, l'chaim, to pour into another cup. So we actually are the givers to the Torah. Not only do we receive when we learn Torah, but then it gives us the power to be a giver, not only to another person, but to the Torah itself. Because as it's stated here, we are higher than the Torah. And I want to read it so you'll hear it with your own words. Just as one drinks from a cup, gains from the cup, similarly, the Torah receives a greater level of godly light from the souls of Israel. We are greater than the Torah. We elevate the Torah. When we elevate the Torah then elevates us even more and empowers us even more to be that light, like a walking Torah for other people. So, can you imagine if you really understood how powerful you are? You're greater than the Torah, and you're so shy, or you're so like someone could feel so inadequate, or someone could feel so lowly of themselves. Who am I? Hello? We had a conversation on Shabbos. And I was like, I just read this and I wish I had the book and I wanted to show it to you. Yes. So there's no room for like insecurity. There's no room for even bashfulness. Okay, so there's writing if you're not like, a type of person that might be, you might be a shy type. I'm not saying they're not shy types, and if you're happy with being a shy type, kol hakavod. If you're not happy being a shy type, and that's what I tell my clients, then let's work on it. But there's many different ways to shine your light. But when you are empowered to know that you are greater than the Torah, then you can believe that God knows what he's talking about because he created you and the Torah is created by the one above. And you having the power to elevate the Torah that ends up elevating you all over again. It's a holy cycle of a continuous or choser. We're giving light to the Torah. The light then beams back to us. Then we light up the world. Okay, I hope you really got that. Because we have to like take a paper and write down inadequacies, fear, who am I can't compete with others, and just tear it up. Because that's not the truth. That's the Yetzer Hara. That's the faculty of imagination running muck in your mind, becoming a hoodlum and hijacking your belief in yourself and how godly you are. And that says a lot, I think. And if you can just picture that truth constantly in your mind.
Yes.
So
you want me to go?
I know you wanted to be like a Farbrengen style.
Yes,
I think I
yes.
spoke a lot already and giving other people a chance.
Rae, do you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you.
The only thing is,
really
Rae, I'm not sure everybody will be able to hear you on the other Zoom, on Miriam's Zoom.
I can continue. I have a lot more to say. If
You have a
want.
lot more to
Yeah.
say?
I just
So,
thought back
yeah.
and forth.
Because on Miriam, I don't want the women on Miriam's Zoom to have to leave because they can't hear you.
So, okay, so then we'll wait till the end. I'll
Okay.
continue.
Yeah,
All right. I know there was Lisa Marcus, who is a good friend of yours, who came and waited up to hear you, but I thought you were good. Okay, we're going to be in person here, but all right, it'll be recorded. So one of the meditations you can do every day, which I do, and this comes from Hasidus teaching, in Ashrei, Potech et Yadecha, in the, that goes through Aleph through Tav, the sentence that starts with the Fei, or Pei, Potech et Yadecha, the Alter Rebbe actually discusses how this sentence actualizes and arouses God to Poteach Yudcha. And Yudcha is the Chochmah, meaning you want to activate God's arousing your wisdom, your creativity, your like dynamic flow of your talents and how to actualize your wisdom. So you stop there and you meditate, and you can even like open your hands like many people do. Potech et yadecha, but now think Yudcha. Hashem, open up the flow of your wisdom in my mind and hopefully in my heart. So when you stop there and you think about, let's say, things that you've wanted to create, things that maybe you're having sometimes I have editors, I don't know, my blockage, it's not coming to me, it's not flowing to me. Open your Yudcha Hashem to allow this creative force and the flow of your wisdom to flow to me so that I can be that walking Torah. And there's a point in the davening that is Yotzer Or Uvarei Choshech, which is right before the Shema. That's another place that you can activate your supernal wisdom and the accessing of God's great wisdom.
Which place in the Shema?
Yotzer Or Uvarei Choshech. Let's see, anyone bring a sitter and then I can show it. It's right before the almost before the Shema. There's Ahavat Olam, and then there's the Shema. So right before, thank you.
The second to the.
And this is a place, and I have stickers to give you, and I'll actually, I'll do it right now, 1 second, and I'll show you where it is on the stickers. And if those of you who have it, then review it on your.
Whenever I teach, I try to remember it, because then it always comes out better to ask Hashem right before, please put the words in my mouth. And
Okay, so
when I do that, it does flow.
right.
Yeah.
So it's Yotze, or prior to this bracha, think about a Hasidic teaching, because at this prayer, a great and godly light of God's wisdom can be drawn inwardly and affect not only your animal soul, but also your creative flow and your intellectual capacities. So what you've learned will be remembered and more easily actualized and put into practice. So why at this prayer do you think about your godly wisdom? Because this is a time of moichin de gadlus. This bracha is a time where your intellectual capacity becomes not just in theory, like you can really actualize your wisdom into actuality, whether it's tikkun lamidos, whether it's your creative potential, your spark of your faculty of imagination you're developing at this. Because most people don't know that prayer is a time of mental acumen. They think, oh, it's a time that I could, connect to Hashem, say, thank you, I need this, I need that. But it's really a time of intellectual wherewithal and like a great capacity to help a person develop more and more of this mental capacity. And I also want to show you something else, because if you look at your brain, if you see this, and I can send it to other people who want, there's like different parts of your brain that are connected to creativity, right? And if a person has depression, sadness, or anxiety, then the part of their prefrontal cortex part of the brain becomes decreased in its power. And the prefrontal cortex is where the creativity is, where the reasoning is. It's all. Can you hear me? Yeah.
The internet is very weak.
Oh, should I show you guys the picture here? Maybe that's what happened. So there's a part of your brain that
there's just so many layers to being creative. Oh, okay, I'll pause.
It's the obvious Farbrengen ever. I want to hear more about that.
So the prefrontal cortex lining has to do with cognition and reasoning. And so if one part of your brain, which has to do with anxiety and fears, and is up, because if you're anxious and you're all in that mode of like anxiety or can't
fight or flight mode.
Yeah. Like then your other part of your creative brain is just not going to be activated, because one goes up, the other goes down. So the more you use your brain in prayer, in learning, the more your anxiety, your depression, your other things go down. And then the more your creative force becomes unleashed. And
Recording in
when
progress.
people are anxious, they can't think clearly. And I always tell people, never make a decision when you're anxious.
Okay, so,
Never make a
there's so many
decision
layers
when you're all nervous.
creative.
Somebody's trying to say
It's
something.
so hard to pinpoint. Like, there's the drive, right? Like, I think so much of the stuff that I do, I'm so driven to create. And that drives me. But then there's also like,
Time.
how to explain it? Like, I need the gevura of it, like the
Self-discipline.
Right, which look here, Netzach, and I wrote here, Netzach and Gevura. That's what I was about to next say. The next part of it is to really harness that self-discipline to actualize it. But again, if you don't first and foremost start the process in prayer and learning Torah after, then you don't have the Netzach, the endurance to go out and do it. You don't have the force of your Gevura, of your self-discipline to actualize it. But those holy attributes, if you look at their prayer, all those 10 attributes are in the prayer that we say to help us actualize these, strengthen us to then do it. It may be sounding such a spiritual like answer to a seemingly very physical, tachlis, actual deed, but I'm telling you, it's all one. if you don't start the foundation here, then you're like trying to get, let's say, clean while swimming in the mud. You know, there's like this big mud pool and you're swimming in a mud pool, but you're trying to get clean and putting a shower on top of you. Like, you gotta get clean. You gotta get your holy attributes released and redeemed, whitened. And then you have the power to use your chokhmah, to use your gvura, to use your netzach, to be able to endure, to have the self-discipline in the days of your life. So I hope that, it's not such a seemingly spiritual answer to a very practical, dilemma. Yes, now you, after the fact, can go into the practical. They say to write all your goals down. They say, because writing actually does impact the diminishing of your Yetzer Hara, by the way. And writing, as Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, the more physical a deed you do, the more you diminish the animal soul's power on you to trick you to feeling lowly or to trick you that you can't do it. So, and there's visualizing your dream in davening, in the Yotzer or prayer is a time to visualize what you learn to actualize it. You can see yourself being more energetic or more with a gevura or more with a netzach to go do mitzvahim and on Robertson and give out Shabbos candles if that's your goal of how you want to use your light. Or you can visualize yourself every night writing on the computer your book if that's the goal you want. So visualization is an incredible tool, but nothing compared to the foundation of redeeming your godly soul powers, your creative forces, your faculty of imagination, your netzach and your gvura, your hod, all of those in prayer to then be able to do the other things to make it happen. So,
Beautiful.
So, yes, we can ask questions now.
Okay, we're talking about the power of the letters and the words.
Yes.
Of God.
Yes.
What if though we can certainly say them in Hebrew, but if we don't really understand every word we're saying, what happens?
So that's an excellent question, because what I did, and those of you,
Somebody's asking if you don't understand Hebrew, what do you understand?
Right.
You don't understand Hebrew, you don't understand every word. You're
Right.
saying.
So how do you-
Some of it.
right. There is a power to those letters, even if you don't understand it. But in the first volume of this book, it actually says, understanding the words at the second level, that gives even more power to these letters. So what I did, those of you who were at my Pidyon Ben, I don't know if you were there and you saw this, it was every word of back in the days, 25, 30 years ago, there was no English on top of the word. So I put every English word after every word.
What was the story of the siddur? Was your old siddur of yours?
It's my siddur that I put every word on top. And I didn't want to now just get another siddur that has the English letters. I wrote the English word on top of each word.
And now you speak Hebrew, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Baruch Hashem. But so I did it so many years ago, and I haven't let go of that siddur because I put a lot of effort in putting every word on top of English word on top of every Hebrew word. Because after I read that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to put the words. I have to know what I'm saying to get to that next level of intellectual, wherewithal.
Now you can speak to an Israeli, right?
Yeah, I gave
God, she can
classes.
speak to an Israeli.
I gave class actually in 770 in Hebrew. That helped me polish.
Wow.
Yeah, every day for years I did it.
Persistence.
English
I
and
think you
then-
should teach us a class on persistence.
Wow. So I do have to say, and I'm not trying to say, look at me, but my brain was all over the place before Chassidus, before learning how to access my brain. I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail, but it was all over the place. And I could read something and read it again. I could not for the life of me share what I learned. And this started age 36. That I started really Chassidus, in a more detailed way. And that took a couple of years till I started with. So you're talking about, someone that, I don't know if you want to say a bimbo brain. I don't know what the terminology it is, or an ADHD brain, really, I mean, I'm still a little there sometimes. I'm still working on it. I'm not saying I'm there, but compared to where I was, that we're not limited by the capacity of the brain that God gave us. And we're not limited. Oh, God didn't give me that talent. God didn't give me a brain. I don't have those kind of talents. No, you can't sell yourself short. You can't underestimate the power of you and the godliness in you. And there's no end. God is infinite, and we can unravel and unleash infinite powers within ourselves. There's no limit. Unlike a gas tank can only take so much gas power from that gasoline. Our brain, God created it that way. I mean, even the scientific research says we're tapping into like only a certain percent, I don't know, 10%, not even, of our power of our mind. That's just pure science. How much more so pure Hasidus? How much we can tap into deeper and deeper layers of our holy intellectual powers to then unleash our creative forces to be bringing Mashiach, the day of redemption today. So there were some questions. I guess we can open it up until we can do I know there are some people that have a hard time meditating. And the word meditating can be taken in two ways. There's the meditation where it's visualizing and seeing the finished product of what you want in your life so that you can actualize the creative force in you. And then there's meditation, let's say in prayer, but you could actually visualize in prayer, where you just contemplate, you review, you think things that you want to accomplish through the process of prayer and also outside of prayer. But so if a person has a hard time visualizing, it doesn't mean they have to give up on meditation. It's just focusing the mind's power. And the Frierdiker Rebbe, the day of right now, it's his day, in his memoirs tells of a story of a chassid that had a 3-pronged negelwasser. And they were wondering, why have these 3 handles? Is there something mystical? Is there something we don't know in Kabbalah that it's better to have, the lulav and etrog that us Hasidim do extra of those hadassim, and it's like this full? Is there something, I don't know, about this mysticism in this negelwasser? And the chassid said, no, I just did it myself because I know and I've learned that there are 3 things that can actualize your brain power. And these 3 things I did, so it'll remind me, because what is negelwasser really? Is drawing down the holy waters, and that represents the holy waters of Torah, to get rid of the impurity of the hands, which represents emotions. So the wisdom of the Torah is supposed to wash away our anxiety, our low self-esteem, our borders, our blockages, our fears, our lack of self-love, and all the negative emotions that are the Yetzer Hara, using it to stop us from being that lamplighter and showing our wares to the world, our holy wares of our Torah. And these 3 things now, when I watch, remind me that I want to use and access the power of my brain. And these were the 3 things. One was his bonus, to really zone out and deeply think. Because when you deeply think in this way, you access the brain's power. And Dr. Sarah Lazar, actually, and many other researchers like Dr. Melrose, she wrote the 60-second fix. She says, even just 1 minute of zoning out, relaxing, and deep breathing, and thinking a little more like, in terms of the relaxation of your mind, and just taking a moment out and deeply connecting and thinking in this way, accesses your greatest brain powers. 1 minute. And the Rebbe Yerushalmi also says 1 minute of a hisbonenus allows for this geniusness of your mind to come out to fruition. Because we all have endless geniusness from God's wisdom, the chokhmah and bina and das that he gave us. But we sell ourselves short. Just like me. I did for a long time. My brain, I can't remember things. I quit so many things because my brain didn't work. If you only knew. I quit so many things because I couldn't. Like, how can I give a lecture? Even though I know the information, I can't speak it. I can't memorize it. I can't remember it. So many years. I gave up on myself because my brain is all over the place. I can't access its powers. So I feel like I'm a living example of the big fat lie that can really trick us on all levels, on all things. And I'm telling you, and I still have technical problems. My husband will show me again and again something like, and can't you remember that? Like, you have to write it down. I mean, I'm still not there yet, but I'm telling you, people that know me before and know me now, they can't believe like that I'm even doing this and what I'm doing. Like, that's like a Houdini miracle. Like, it's not to be believed.
So it's very interesting because we're living in times of Mashiach, where the Rebbe says we are all supposed to come to a different way of consciousnesses, which is what you're describing, is what you came to. You came out of your own limitations, your own time, your own.
I'm not completely out there, but
No,
I'm getting there. I'm just saying from where I was.
We're all working.
Talk to my family.
But that's, and we see a lot of people in our generation, even in the non-Jewish world, the Jewish world, all over. People are becoming more tapped in and tuned into their creativity and their higher powers of faculty beyond the rational, logical mind, which is very limiting.
In progress.
And they're able to express themselves in new ways that people haven't heard ever before in our time. And this is part of the coming of Mashiach times that we're living in, where the faculty of Kesser, which is the unknowable head of which is beyond rationale, which is our creative source, which is the source of our pleasure and our will and our emunah, our trust, our faith in God, which is all faculties which are above logic and above rationale. And then the goal is, through Torah, we're able to take that creativity and channel it in a way that's very creative and building and enhancing. Some people could, God forbid, do it the other way. They could take their faculties of imagination and channel it not through Torah, not through God's wisdom, but through maybe their own self-limiting wisdom, and then they can take creativity and create not such good things. So that is why it's so important to channel this creative force that we all have in our beyond our rational, beyond our mind, through Torah, through prayer.
And Rabbi Ginsburg actually says that that's the cause of psychosis and neurosis and anxiety disorders. This faculty of imagination derailed in the opposite way. So it's really a big key to even healing.
But that faculty of our soul is even beyond Torah, is what it says. Our connection to Hashem, through the essence of our soul, which can be accessed through our will, pleasure, and faith, is beyond the level of Torah. And the goal is to access that faith, will, and wisdom through the wisdom of Torah, to be able to connect it into our faculties of our intellect, of our brain, to understand God as much as we can, to explain God as much as we can, to feel God as much as we can. But it all starts with what Miriam has been talking about, tapping into our part of our neshama, our soul, which is beyond our logic, and then taking that creativity and expressing it. And the power of Torah is so strong. It says it tells us Torah's strength. So when you know that you have Torah backing these ideas that you're presenting, then you have a tremendous amount of power and strength, because you know it's based on truth. Torah is the truth of God. Torah is the blueprint of the world. God created the world with Torah. So all the truths about the world, what was really truth and what is really real, is through Torah. So if you're channeling your creativity through Torah, you know you're on the right track. You're not going to lead people into imaginations that have nothing to do with anything, or could, God forbid, take them to unhealthy places. You're going to stay healthy, you're going to stay well, you're going to stay grounded, you're going to bring it, all these high faculties of will and pleasure and faith, into your logical brain through Torah, into your expression of your creativity through your mouth and through your deeds, through your feelings, in a healthy, happy way, and then you'll be able to write books like Miriam, and you'll be able to teach like Miriam every day.
Everyone has to use your own unique, no one has to be like anybody else, because everyone is so unique and has to do like Right.
Well, some people express themselves through other mediums, yes.
Yeah.
Dance or
Dance,
or
art, oh my
art
gosh, so
or
much.
storytelling or whatever it is. There's some people through their cooking.
Or videography. I mean, there's so
Yes.
much.
Shoshana's cooking is the best.
I can't
Thank you,
thank you
Shoshana.
enough for this partnership.
Oh
here.
my gosh, it's so delicious. Thank you. Whoever missed out lunch today, whoever's here came late. please go and
Recording
get
in
yourself some-
progress.
We were doing it in my home, but now my home is a lot more trafficy. So it's just a miracle that it
Oh.
happened right in the next.
We're both very
next time.
grateful that Shoshana loves to cook and loves to cook delicious food.
Yes.
Thank you, Shoshana. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so maybe we can get our beloved Rae. Wow. First,
So-
I want to. Oh, continue. No, I didn't.
No, it's fine. Go. You wanted to say something. You wanted to.
No, I just
say
want to
your
tell
books,
her
your books.
that thanks to Rae, she took my marriage book and made like a coloring book as well as meditations and like just basic main key points in my that came from my kindness in marriage book and made a workbook color book. And I have to thank Yafa's sister who, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I hadn't
Recording in progress.
So I have to say, Rae, I'm stepping nachas from Rae because Rae did start coming to Torah classes through Bais Chana. How many years ago, Rae? Can you unmute yourself, Rae? How many years ago did you start coming to Bais Chana and taking our classes? Bais Chana, California, Women's
I
Yeshiva.
don't even remember.
You can't even
I think
remember, it was so
I
long ago.
think I could make a book of Bais Chana classes.
You
Yes.
could, you definitely could.
So I
That
just
would
want
be
to say
very
the name of the woman who did this. Her name is Ella because it's also hard for me to pronounce. Ella Matyave. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Russian. Anyway, she once read my marriage book and said, "I want to help you make it into a workbook." And she volunteered to put all of the points from my marriage book and the combination of her artwork and spotlighting different sentences.
So
I just
beautiful.
really thank you. I want to publicly thank you, Rae and Ella, for joint partnership in making this workbook happen. Yes, thank you. Sorry,
Thank you.
I just
No.
didn't want to miss the opportunity to give public recognition.
So, by the way, one lady from last event that we had about 2 weeks ago, was it, or even less? She's
Recording in progress.
she's a very brilliant woman, very creative herself. And she was on our Zoom and she, as a result of hearing Rae speak last 10 days ago, approximately, right? It was
Wow.
10 days ago. She joined Rae's mastermind.
Yay!
So yes, so Rae has a mastermind going on. I don't know, I can't. she'll tell
Passion
you.
project and
Yes.
incredible. Really, I was on some of your Zooms together and I was just like, wow, I want more.
And I remember, and Esther Ginsburg, who's here, she hosted once, oh boy. She
Lots
hosted
of
once
shepa,
a
lots of
Rae
water.
seminar in her home. It was a workshop, like an 8-week series. There was so much information packed into those 8 weeks. We could have done it really over a year. And Rae just had it all ready in a book form. She had all the information there and she just flew through all this information. So that was very memorable. I was like, 1 second, I'm muted.
So maybe we could put it that way so
Rae,
everyone can see.
Rae,
it.
I don't know if you should be the host because I constantly am getting muted. I don't know if you want to stop being the host.
Maybe do it that way so they can see her, even though I want to see her. Or everyone can go on their own Zooms and see her.
Yeah, everybody can go on Zoom if you want and see Rae. But you can hear her? Okay, good. Are you ladies on Miriam's Zoom, are you able to hear Rae speak a little bit? So
You
we
have to
can hear
speak
you?
really loud because we have to hear you both at the end of the table and at the end of the other Zoom.
Can you,
Okay,
are you ladies, let us know if you can't
can you hear
hear.
me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Oops.
No?
I hear you. Yes, we hear you
All
here.
right. Okay, so,
Okay.
thank you. First of all, most interesting Farbrengen ever. On, off, on, off, on, off. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of our creative energy flow, right?
Ah,
It goes on, off, on, off, on, off. We just think, should I bother? Should I wait? Should I do?
let me see.
And the
Just, I'm
answer
gonna
is
open the door because I think
all of that.
internet.
So, yes, are we still good? Should I continue?
I can barely hear you. Maybe I'm aging. Oh, no, I don't have to look at my passport to see how, no, but can anyone hear? Okay.
Put my volume up, but I think we're on okay. This is just gonna work up.
Because it's like fuzzy, so it's hard to hear for me, but I don't know. Is it fuzzy for you all? Okay, go ahead, try.
Okay, so when Yehudit invited me to speak, she also said, please write a letter to the rabbi. So I went to igrot.com and I wrote a letter to the rabbi. And the letter that opened up was actually written to prisoners, people who were sitting in prison.
Prisoners, yes. And today we're celebrating the redemption of the previous Rebbe from prison. Today's the Chag HaGeula, yes. And his birthday. For Adele, we're making a birthday party. Yeah, the Frierdiker Rebbe's birthday. Yes, it's a birthday party. Yes.
Yes, it's his birthday and his liberty. And in this letter to the prisoners, the Rebbe reveals the secret of how to be free, no matter what your circumstances are. So I'll just read you a few of those paragraphs where he reveals that secret. So the Rebbe says, the real bright light in human life is the ability to see the right path in life and follow it faithfully in terms of daily conduct, filling it with all that is bright and good in a state of consistent inner peace and tranquility.
So say that in your own words.
The secret is right there. So I'm just going to repeat it.
Yeah, say it in your own words.
So what the rep is saying that the secret to be free is to follow the right path, to see the right path in life, meaning the Torah path in life, and to fill your life with all that is bright and good, right? So what does that mean to you? So that's the question. And in a state of consistent inner peace and tranquility. So we move through our days, follow the path of Torah, which we understand because we learn to understand Torah. Filling our days with all that is right and good, using our personal passions and our joy, whatever that comes from, in a state of consistent inner peace and tranquility. We have a little internet lag.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe go on my Zoom. Should I send you my Zoom and we could hear you better on my Zoom? And then you'll be better recorded on my Zoom. I don't know, because I can't hear. I'm going to send you the, Zoom. Worldwide one. Yeah, on the worldwide WhatsApp.
I'm still leave this Zoom open.
I'll send 1 second. Okay, so I'm sending you to my personal WhatsApp so you have easy access to it. Okay, we'll wait for you to hear. Hopefully it'll be better. We'll try. Maybe she wants to say something to our. You want to be on Zoom? Do you want to say something? What you told me in the while we were getting out of the car together? What you did on Shabbat and how you were learning Torah with your friends? Okay, it's okay.
She was reading Miriam Yerushalmi's book about being beautiful like a color. Yes.
It's so cute that she shared that with me.
Yes.
That is so beautiful.
When you were speaking, she says that Jewish people like
We're taking a half-minute break.
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah. Okay, so
Half-a-minute break. Just
we can let's just do a nigun. Let's do a niggin while we're getting Rae on. Let's see if she's on here.
She is, I see.
Oh, there she is. Okay, so we'll do a niggin
She is,
after.
yeah.
Okay, let me see how I can unmute chat. Oh, there's a lot of interaction here.
Susanna, you want
Very
a niggin? Which niggin would you like?
You can sing the new.
Yeah,
How
while we're
does it go?
trying to,
Now you know, yes.
can you
Can you
help me
start it?
here?
Can you
Did I
start
get
it?
it out? To unmute.
She's unmuted.
Oh, good. Wow, love those flowers and drapes in the background. Just see yourself being freed. See a vision. The power of the day. Opening the doors.
Ray, I want to first also acknowledge that you're here with us, joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, and thank you so much, Miriam Yerushalmi, for joining us and giving us your unbelievable passion, enthusiasm, knowledge, and energy. It's like electric. It's like you're sitting in Miriam's presence, you get a charge or rebooting of your batteries. It's kind of like when we would go to the Rebbe.
Oh my gosh.
We go for a whole month.
Oh my
We
God.
would go to Tishrei and you would get completely exhausted because
Oh
there was
my
so much
gosh.
going on. But the energy of all the people together, the holiness of the place, the holiness
my
of the
God.
people, and the Rebbe, we would get energized. So, yes.
Miriam, I think you bring 770 with you.
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
that's very good. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm watching you.
Yes.
I mean, if you were in the darkness of where I was, you would understand how much like joy of getting out of that imprisonment that I just like, it's just, you know, when you face death so closely and then like you have life, then you have life. It's just a byproduct of where I was and the excitement of like sharing it with others. So
You weren't the only
Thank you.
one. The Peter Rebbe was in prison and he was sentenced to death and he was
oh my
facing
God,
death.
oh my God.
And most of the Rebbes were in jail or in very difficult situations, and they all came out from it. And that's what, whenever we're going through a tough time, we can always remember the Rebbe's, pulled through it and came out even stronger. And that's what happened also once the Frierdiker Rebbe came out of jail and came out of prison and came out of what he was supposed to be exiled for 3 years, and that was all eradicated and it was gone, and he was saved and he went back. He actually started a whole new stage and he said that everybody's being redeemed and we're going out to a new stage, a new era of spreading the well springs of Torah and mitzvahs around the world in a global way. And that's what happened after he was able to, because expelled him from Russia, he was able to go to the United States and start a whole new. So anytime we're in a Meitzar, we're in a prison, we're in a cell, we're in, whether it's the prison of our mind, whether it's the prison of our emotions, the prison of what we're telling ourselves or what people are doing to us, or whatever it is that we think we can't, go beyond, then we can tune in to the Rebbe's and see they pulled out, and then the constraints made them go even more, be able to produce more, reach out more, and create more, and touch thousands, touch the whole world, change the world. So we have that. We have them as our guideposts. Yes.
Actually, the thing they wrote in the book, A Prince in Prison. It's always, it's the experience in prison. At the end of the book, he writes that this experience of being in jail, he will not give this experience for, he will not give away this experience for nothing. But what he gained from this experience,
Yes. Yes.
It's incredible. And
What's
you
gonna
said that, actually the figure said not only me was redeemed from jail, but the entire Jewish people, and even a Jew that is just as the name of a Jew. He doesn't have proof to himself, but it's just because he's a Jew. Even him is, by the fact that the figure was redeemed, he's also redeemed.
Yes.
We go through redemption to the world.
I'm so glad you shared.
Yes. Well, Rae, wow,
Okay,
thank
Rae.
you.
Rae, we're ready and waiting.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, Shoshana.
Thank you, Shoshana. Before I begin, though, I know that you were talking about your book. Did people get to see your book?
Yes, she showed it.
Yeah, I showed it. Yay, thank you to you. But and
Miriam speaks and speaks and speaks, but she's very quiet about her own accomplishments, and especially her books that she's pouring out. So I think it's very important, Miriam, to keep showing those books, because that's how they get to take you home with them and enjoy you on Shabbos. I was speaking to two people at shul, and someone asked, well, what are you reading this Shabbos? And they said, Reaching New Heights.
oh my gosh. Yes, we should. That's such a moment that I'm glad you got to hear that, to share it with me. That makes me really happy. A lot of hard work into these books. Yeah.
It's true.
Thank you. Go ahead. It's your turn to
All right. So the
share. Thank
three
you.
main points that the Rebbe is bringing out to these prisoners, people in prison, and that includes us, because we're in the prison of this world until Mashiach is revealed. May it be immediately.
Amen.
So the first advice is, I'll just repeat from before, is the ability to see the right path in life, meaning the Torah path. So to learn Torah, and this is a day of setting set times for learning Torah, and especially learning Chassidus, and to fill it with all that is bright and good in a state of consistent inner peace and tranquility. Then the second part, we're going to do a meditation together to bring all that together, to bring all this together. The second part is, this has to do and is dependent upon a person's world outlook, including a full measure of bitachon, trust in God, the creator and master of the world, which has to be expressed in appropriate conduct, in actual practice, for the essential thing is the deed. Okay, so we want to fill our world with all that is bright and good, and while we are feeling consistent inner peace and tranquility, and doing the thing that is ours to do, that unique talent, that unique purpose, urgency, mission, whether it's taking care of your family or, doing the Messiah or something beyond. And I'm working all the time with the people that, with the women that have that something beyond. Yes, we have to do the regular things in life. And yes, we also have to do all the Jewish things in life. And even though that is more completely impossible for anybody to do, I have this thing that nags me and urges me that I must do it too. So that's the deed, and we have.
She didn't get to the third.
Oh, you didn't get to the third one?
No.
Okay.
Nope. So the third one is, moreover, and this too is an essential point, this very confidence and feeling, and then the Rebbe emphasizes, hastens and brings closer the day when the undesirable circumstances will be over and done with, if not all at once, at least gradually and in a satisfactory manner in all respects. Okay, so that goes back to what Miriam was showing us before, where you have to, you have to receive that vision from Chochmah, and then in Bina, start to unpack that vision of whatever it is, and then bring it all together and integrate it with the Torah and the Chassidus that we're learning, so it really becomes integrated in our das and we understand it. Then we bring it down into Chesed, where we are giving it over, whatever way that we can give it over, and attracting to us the people that need to receive from us in our unique way, whether it's one-to-one or in groups or many, or through a book or through a painting or through a WhatsApp, however it is for you. And then bringing it over into Gevura, where we are now putting limits and boundaries around it so that it can be very clear. And so we can say absolutely no to certain things in order to be able to say absolutely yes to what that is that we're trying to bring into the world, that uniqueness that was given to us to do. And then bringing it further down, into Tiferes, where we've really balanced that out. So we have, we have now the good conditions that we can produce. And then bringing it down into Netzach, which is the place of self-discipline, as Miriam mentioned before, and also the place of engaging in the game of it, in the pleasure and the delight of it, as Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg says, that Netzach is being in the game with Hashem. That's where even if we lose, even if we have a failure, we can still be so joyful because we're in the game with Hashem. And that's the part that the Rebbe is talking about with the B'tachon, and knowing in Hod, where we're receiving, where we're feeling grateful to Hashem, and knowing that no matter how much effort we make in Netzach, and no matter how much endurance and self-discipline we have, our success is up to Hashem. And always remembering that, and the way to hasten that success, to really bring it down into where all the light is pouring into Yesod, is to remember that this confidence that we feel in Hod is hastening and bringing closer our redemption, the redemption of our family, and the redemption of the world, and bringing Mashiach closer. As all of that light of all the efforts that we make through the mindset and through the doing and the deed brings it all down into Malchus, where it's revealed in the world, and we can now pour it into the next generation and the next level or the next class, wherever it all goes. So I just wanted to take a moment and do actually last week in the Hayom Yom, the Rebbe Marash gave us a little clue. You started out with the letters, and Yehudit, you said the letter Hey, that Hashem created the world through the letter Hey. Well, what is the letter Hey? What's the sound of the letter Hey? It's just a breath, right? So Hashem created the world with just a breath, and that's a model for us. The Rebbe Marash said, most powerful prayer we can do is a sigh. Okay, so what's a sigh? A sigh is a breath, right? But it's a big breath, right? We're really blowing, we're just experiencing the sadness and release and the limitations that we feel, and releasing it and letting it go. So let's put that all together, what the Rebbe suggested we do, in just taking a few breaths and breathing in that breath directly from Hashem, which is Hashem's B'tachon in us. Hashem's trusting us to fulfill our purpose. And when we breathe out, just heave a sigh. Just let go of all those limitations. Just let them go. Because the sooner we let them go, the sooner we can hasten and bring closer the fruition of what we're here to do. Even if it looks like it's going up and down and up and down and in and out, and we're losing the connection and falling off the internet and coming back on, just dial back in, just keep it up, just dial back in to that confidence in Hashem and keep moving forward in every way you can. And I'm going to suggest also, just like now, a Farbrengen. What is a Farbrengen? Farbrengen is when we're all plugging in together and we're all joining our forces together of who we are, all of our talents and all of our being, even if we don't think we have any talents. And then just we are joining it together to keep elevating the world, bring it up a level. Next Hasidic holiday, bring it up another level, and just keep going. So let's do that now and maybe move into and continue it. Do it on your own. Grab a friend, grab a few friends, and keep it going to encourage, to encourage each other to take the next step, to hold on to that vision, to hold on to that confidence and keep it going. We call that a mastermind, where you mastermind with your friends. That's what a Farbrengen is. A Farbrengen is a grand mastermind where we elevate the world. And if you would like to contact me about how to put together a mastermind or just have a chat with what your talent is and how to bring it forward, you could reach me at joyfullyjewish.com/discovery. And I'm happy to get on a call with you and help you figure it out and move it forward, whatever step it is.
Thank you, Rae. Rae, let me try to summarize what you said, okay? And
Yeah.
you correct me if I got it, or if I need to add, or if I missed something. I'm not going to say everything you said, but I just want to summarize what I understand the flow that you're giving through the spheres, right?
Yeah.
So you start off with the Hayom Yom you start off with Torah, the insights of Torah. And that's kind of like the Chokhmah, that's the highest Sephira after the Kesser. And then you bring it into the Bina, which is, you said it should be coming in a little bit more of a flow and a creative flow and more, it should be with calmness. That's what I heard you saying. And then with Das, you were saying it should be relevant to us. It should be meaningful. It should be something that we, connect to, relate to, something relatable. So we're taking the wisdom of Torah, bringing it in a calm way, and with particulars, understanding it, and then bringing it into a place where we can relate and relate to it. It's relatable to us. Then we can share.
Hang on before you do, because it's the wisdom of Torah, but it's also the idea that Hashem is dropping into us through Chachma, the drop of an idea of what it has to do with us, and then kind of flowing in that same way, along with the Torah that we're learning.
Right. So that comes so that's if we're tuning into our creativity, if we're tuning into our emunah, our will, and our pleasure. If we learn Torah with pleasure, and we learn Torah with the will to do Hashem's will and with emunah and God, we don't just learn as an intellectual pursuit. Then you're able to bring that creative flow through Chokhmah, then Bina, and then Das. And then Chesed is where you're sharing it with love and abundance, and you sharing it, whether it is with video, with writing, whatever it is, however you're expressing it. The Gevurah is where you're setting boundaries on the things that you're not going to share or not going to give, or you're going to set limits to what you can or can't give, right? When and how, and all that.
Setting limits to others. This is very important. Setting limits to other things so that you can do that giving.
Do with that, right? So know what it is that your mission is, that what you need to be sharing, so that you don't go all over the place. That's the Gevurah. Okay, and then Tiferes is you said in a balance. You balance the wanting to give and the wanting to withhold. You find a good balance of what you can give and what you're not giving. And then the Netzach is enjoying it, right? Enjoying the game, right? Even if it's enduring, right? So even the parts that are hard, like Miriam said, she wrote the English on her sitter, or if I have to do my paperwork and do the things that I don't like to do, so that's enjoying the game, enjoying all the parts of it, enjoying the fight, enjoying the endurance part of it. That's Netzach with the winning victory kind of mentality. The Hod is an acknowledgement and a gratitude. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me the ability to do this and to share and to be able to give my flow. And then the Yesod, I don't remember what you said about
because
Yesod.
another important part of Hod is remembering
there's other parts to Hod.
The success is up to Hashem.
Success is up to Hashem.
The success
we do our best, and then we can
not on us.
Right, we give our best
on us.
Success, and then Hod we acknowledge. Right, we say whatever it is that came through, that's what Hashem wanted us to give. So we don't second guess ourselves. Did I do? Didn't I do? We don't get into that doubt. We get into it always Hashem working through us, and we also don't get too conceited because we know that it's all from Hashem. So that's the Hod, that's acknowledgement. And that's a more passive trust, accepting, receiving Hashem flowing through us. And then the Yesod, what did you say about Yesod?
So
But
the Yesod is where you now are fully in service.
in service.
All the light is pouring into the whole entire system. And now you can be
Yes.
fully in service to pour it all into Malchus, into the world, where all the parts are now in balance and working correctly, and ready to where now Malchus is where you're shining. You're a transparent vessel for shining Hashem's light through the deed, like the Rebbe says, the essential thing is the deed, and that the light of Torah is shining through you through Malchus. Yesod makes that possible through your service.
So
Wow.
yes,
Beautiful.
Yesod is kind of like a rebalancing. It also is a point of pleasure. Yesod is a pleasure point, and when you're doing it all with pleasure, then you can bring it out into a creative way of expression and action and deed. Thought, speech, and deed is through Malchus, and then you can actually, put it on your computer and send it out on WhatsApp or whatever, and then you can do all the.
At that point, and that's a great analogy, because at that point it can be reproduced, because that's what Yesod is. Yesod is the organ of reproduction.
Yes, and
But
you need
that
pleasure to be able to do
now
that.
in something very full from all the light that's completely balanced, and now people can share your post, people can give over your teaching, or they can
Yes,
do
so you really have to
just
find
train them to do.
Right, you really have to find pleasure in what you're doing. That's kind of you bring it all together and you say, wow, this is amazing, this is wonderful. Good. Very good, beautiful, thank you. So what else? Ray, did you want to do a meditation, or Miriam, did you want to do a meditation? You're going to do the meditation?
Yeah.
And there's tzedakah on the table, please. Torah, prayer, and tzedakah is the three pillars the world stands on. So that's what we're trying, they've always wanted us to promote. So Ray, you're going to do a meditation right now?
Yeah, there's so many meditations, but I only do one, because everything is in this one, everything. So it's always, always, always that when we're breathing in, we're connecting to Hashem. Yeah. Should I go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In transition? Okay. So when you're breathing in, the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe teaches us in the Tanya that Hashem is breathing the breath of life into us from his innermost place to our innermost place. It doesn't get any more intimate than that, right? So Hashem, that's the confidence that Hashem is giving us life in this moment because he trusts us, right? So when you breathe in, take that energy, that vitality, that trust and confidence that Hashem has in you, and breathe that in. And when you breathe out, release any of that feeling of being in jail, of being imprisoned and limited.
Yeah, her computer fell, so.
Oh.
Okay,
okay.
now we got it. Okay, go ahead.
No, but it said build with confidence on my screen. That's what came up when you were talking about confidence.
Oh, that's so funny. That's very funny.
That's why we were laughing.
There's more hashgacha pratis when you went off, Miriam, when you were talking about self-discipline on the other Zoom. We were having our own little Farbrengen there while you were going off, and the person had just mentioned self-discipline. It was like this beautiful, doesn't matter if you drop off the internet, you're still connected, connected to the holy conversation. Okay, so really the point of this meditation today is to do it, okay? You get really, really in touch with Hashem, with Hashem's confidence in you, your confidence in Hashem, and what is it? What is that thing that is uniquely you? What is that passion? And just really get in touch with it. That purpose, that mission, that joy that you feel when you do a certain something, that's Hashem's clue that is your mission. That's what he wants you to do. So let's just breathe it in. First, take a big, deep sigh, like the Rebbe Marash says. Just let it all go. All the sadness, disappointment, limitation, just let it go. And breathe in that breath, that vitalizing breath, straight from Hashem's innermost place. And breathe out any sense of disconnection, any sense that you're not up to the task, just let it go.
And then breathe in again, the breath from Hashem's innermost place. I learned from Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson that Hashem is actually blowing your soul into you with every breath. So you have a brand new soul right now, fresh, and you can draw into its unlimited potential of your soul. So breathe that in. And breathe out any limitations, imposter syndrome. Just let it go. And just one more time, really breathe in. When Hashem is breathing your soul into you, tap into the joy of that, the happiness. And think of where, or feel where else, what other thing do you do that brings you that joy and happiness when you're connecting with another person? And if you feel like you just don't know, breathe that out. And breathe in one more time. Hashem's purpose and mission for you through what delights you. And breathe out any sense of limitation and let it go and let us know. Share with us. What is it for you? What is it that lights you up? What do you think your mission is? Where are you most in creative flow? Those are all clues. Who can share something? Okay, Miriam, I know for you it's communication, right? Whether that communication is through speaking or whether it's through writing, it's sharing your love of Hashem with the world through communication.
Thank you.
Right?
For me,
What is it for you?
It's spreading Chassidus, so in different ways. So it could be by making Farbrengen, it could be by teaching Chassidus and sharing my understanding, the way I relate to it, the way it helps me, and my connection to Hashem. You know, connecting to Hashem in all our ways. It's kind of like finding ways to connect to Hashem in everything we do, not just when we're in a Farbrengen, but all the time.
You know, it's funny, I was going to say for you, it's connection.
Connection,
right?
Yeah.
For Miriam too, but it's connection. You're always, both of you are connecting all these different teachers, all of these different lamplighters, and you're bringing them together to spread, to amplify your light, to amplify even more the light that you want to spread into the world.
I love also helping other teachers and
too.
speakers also like connect to each other and connect to other people, like making a lot of turning like a lot of light bulbs all around through people coming together.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
It just really brings the Mashiach energy, because that's what we'll be doing when Mashiach comes. We'll be just all together.
Yes, and the more people you have to get, it's nice to have intimate, because then you can really, it's easier to relate. But as our muscles grow, then the more people you have joining together, the more exciting it is, because the more neshamas, the more soul powers you have, all integrating with each other. So it's blending. It's powerful.
Wow.
Good. Who else? Anna Miriam, I see you here, and Ms. Salcido, and who else is in the room? Take a risk.
Oh,
what could it be for you?
Esther.
I think understanding. So that's maybe another one. So I'm not sure if
No, that's also a passion.
understanding came up. Yeah.
Yeah, like the more you learn to understand.
Right. Like understanding, internalizing.
So if you enjoy understanding, maybe you can help enjoy others understanding.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Understanding. There's another word I'm trying to catch. Hold on. Integrating. Understanding and integrating. Yeah.
Integrating.
Actually.
Right. Like that. Yeah. To make it all one. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to share?
Yes.
Shoshana.
You want to come here, or should we just?
I think it's worldwide community. For me, it's about community, reaching community across the world, and doing that through the intimacy of women to women. in a way that allows each of us to appreciate each other and each other's skills and talents, so that anyone who's together with someone else begins to feel appreciated. That's the biggest.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. Yes, you're very much appreciated. Okay.
So we have two
Esther.
Shanas here.
Esther, your turn. Do you want to share? No? Adele, you want to share? No? Okay.
Okay, since
And what about
Rae,
you?
okay. So share this is some of the books, some of the children's books. There's more, but I just saw this as I was packing something up while she was asking me to share. All right, I'll share. Anyway, I want to just say one thing that I remember when the Frierdiker Rebbe actually stated when he was actually in prison, he said the moment he faced the snake, basically, and we learned this in last week's Parsha, it was like the power of like when you just face whatever seemingly a snake-like situation is, and you put your like you look at it like and fear no evil, and like say this snake-like situation is from Hashem. This is good, because he was like, what am I doing here? I could be out there promoting Judaism, and here I'm stuck in prison. He started to like fall prey to doubt and sadness, he says in his memoirs. But then he realized, the Baal Shem Tov says, where every man steps is where a person is supposed to be. And at that moment, he said, okay, so this is just as holy in this prison as me teaching Aleph Beis to someone outside of prison. And he said at that moment is when everything turned around for him. So when we can see whatever it is that's blocking us and say, this is from Hashem and this is good, and it like demystifies and empowers that snake-like situation, and it becomes then the revealed remedy. Just like when Moshe Rabbeinu was telling everyone, like, look up at the snake and you'll be healed. Like, why look at a snake? Just look at Hashem. Because the process of redemption, the key ingredient to be able to redeem yourself from whatever blockages and whatever challenges is by facing it and saying, Zeh Keli V'Anvehu, this is Hashem, and I'm with you, Hashem, on this. And that has the power to redeem us. So I just wanted to end the Farbrengen here with that.
I'm going to end with something from the Parsha.
Yes,
definitely. So something very, very powerful. Just one point that I'll bring out, the Rebbe brings out very strongly. It's a very transformative point. How to do transformation, basically. This is in this week's Parsha, Parsha's Balak. It's a very special Parsha where there's the prophecy of becoming a Mashiach. It's in this week's Parsha that the Maimonides quotes all the psukim in this Parsha are the verses of redemption with David HaMelech and then the redemption to come. So, but what the Rebbe says, we're getting ready for the Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, which starts the 3 weeks, which is sad weeks, culminating with Tisha B'Av, another fast day. So the Rebbe has a very transformative way of seeing these 3 weeks. And he says everything has an external outer dimension and an internal dimension, right? That's what Chassidus brings about, that we look at things deeper. So on the external, it's very sad, and we're fasting and we're praying, with the bitter tears. Please bring us Mashiach back. Bring the Beis Hamikdash, bring us to the complete redemption. We want Hashem to reveal himself fully in all his glory. That's on the external. The internal part of the fast is that really the whole reason that we have a fast day to begin with is not because we want to have a fast day. The fast day wasn't instituted because it's a wonderful thing to fast. The fast day was instituted so that we would come to a place of bringing the geula, bringing the goodness, bringing Hashem revealed. So really on the internal point of the whole internal powerful point of the fast day is to bring geula. So we can either focus on it, this is a sad day, or we can focus on this is a day to bring geula, to bring Mashiach, to bring redemption, to come out of our limitations, to bring goodness into the world. And he said, when on the year that he said that was the year that the fast days came out on Shabbos. He said on the year that it comes out on Shabbos, it highlights this point, but we can get to this point every year now that we know this information, that the whole point really of the fast days is to bring Mashiach, is to transform, is to bring the transformation of darkness to light. And that's why it says the days of the fast days are going to be transformed to days of rejoicing. So they're going to be yantivs. Every fast day is going to be a yantiv, except for Yom Kippur, we'll still fast on Yom Kippur, but Yom Kippur is not a fast day because of sadness, it's just a fast day of a day of will to Hashem. But all the fast days that were instituted for sad things will be completely transformed to holidays. So the first bracha that I got from the Rebbe when we founded Bais Chana, California, was on the 24th of Tammuz, and the Rebbe quoted the Masechet Tanit, and he quoted, and he said that these days that we're in now, these 3 weeks, are going to be transformed into days of rejoicing and sadness. This is before the Rebbe said the Sikha of Parshas Balak. It was in 1990 I got that bracha. That was before he. So, the point is that when we come to these days that are very intense, there's an intensity that we can focus on Mashiach more than anything else. Not to focus on, oh my, I'm going to have to fast.
Right.
And also that, but also quotes the fact that also, as it says, that once, we're going to come to a place where we'll have peace in the world and we won't be threatened, we will be able to stop those fast days. So these things could be happening gradually, and it's not something that we can say exactly when it's going to stop. But as we come more to the times of Mashiach, it will be less and less necessary to have these fast days, because we will be coming to a place of freedom and peace and geula, and we will not feel so much the sadness of the day. We'll feel the excitement that we're coming towards Mashiach. So this is what should happen this year. We shouldn't have to fast at all, and we should bring geula completely revealed. Hashem should be able to us. Thank you.
I was having this discussion with Orit Esther Ryder, because we're actually doing a 3-day women's event.
Yes.
A retreat, getaway. Okay, not retreat. The Rebbe didn't like that
What's
word.
the date?
Getaway. It's August 22nd, 23rd, and August 24th. Running Springs, women together gathering. So I hope more and more can join. But I was discussing with her, because the Rebbe's approach to these 3 weeks and this whole period of time is that on the external level, we're doing what's needed to seemingly mourn, but on the internal level, we don't have to do what we used to do internally. But like internally, we are in a geula's mindset. We're anticipating the ultimate geula. We're not like supposed to be in that very sad, heavy mode internally. So when you were saying that, I'm like, I remember learning that, like, because that's the chiddush and the hora'ah of our Rebbe, to be externally doing the things that we have to do in these during those 3 weeks, but internally we have a geula. Internally we feel joyful that soon the ultimate redemption is coming. We feel like,
Yes, the excitement of getting closer. It's like when you're giving birth.
Yeah.
It's like at the very end, you're like, okay, it's already happening. It's
Right.
We're not focused on
Right.
so much the pain. It gets more, you get really, the pain stops at a certain point. You don't notice the pain after a certain point, and you're just like into the baby's being delivered.
And
So you just have
And you
an
forget the pain.
opportunity.
Yes.
Opportunity.
Anyway, wow.
Thank
May
you.
this day of
Yes.
Farbrengen, the time together. Thank you, Rae. What you said was amazing, very practical, and I wrote notes down, and hopefully apply it to myself more, and all of us will apply what we learned here today, and continuously shine our lights in our own unique way. Thank you,
Thank you again,
all
Shoshana.
of you,
Thank you, Ray.
for being here, making this happen. And
Yes.
wow. But you can continue for
It's
bringing.
getting recorded, right? It's recorded.
Yes,
Yes,
it is
it's recorded.
recorded. Baruch Hashem. So
Yes.
I can leave it here. You can
No, no.
continue. No, continue. I was just gonna.
I want to go, but I want
Did you want to say
anybody, no, I did not. I'm on Lavone there. Is anybody going here? I'm about 5 blocks from here.
Where?
Livonia, it's about
I
5
could
blocks.
take you.
Can you take me?
Sure.
I almost got my green suit.